In the previous video, I added an empty MIDI track, and then after I had recorded onto it, I created a rack instrument to play that information. But an instrument track does a lot of that routing for you, and it makes it really easy to add different MIDI instruments to your project. I'm going to close up all of this stuff that we see here under the VST Instruments folder by clicking on the folder itself. That just allows us to see a little bit more of what's going on in the track list. Then I'm going to right or control click in this column and choose Add Instrument Track, and the dialog box will be a little bit different. Here you can choose from all the different virtual instruments that you have installed on your computer. Cubase comes with quite a few, but you can also add third-party plugins from companies like Native Instruments or Arturia and so on. In this particular example, I'm going to go to Retrolog. Retrolog is a virtual analog synthesizer. So I'll click the Add Track button, and a couple of things are going to happen in the background here. It's going to create that instrument track, but then it's also going to reveal the Retrolog control panel. And so let's load a sound into Retrolog here. I'm going to go to the preset window here. It's going to open up this browser, and if in any browser you want to just kind of start from scratch, you can click this little Reset Filter button, and that will reset all of your categories. So let's go into the MPE Retrolog, which has 25 sounds in it, or we could go to the other libraries that have many more sounds than that. But let's go into Bass and Synth Bass, and then we have 6 different patches that we could use. So let's load the first one, the Church of Distology here. And then once that patch is loaded, we can close the window just by clicking anywhere on the control panel. Let's close the control panel in its entirety. And now we need to move the Record Enable button off of the piano track and onto the Retrolog. And then we need to check our source and our destination. Again, our input can be all MIDI inputs, which is a good one to make sure that you're able to record from any of your MIDI controllers. Or in this case, I still have my MIDI keyboard selected, the Laboratory. And the output destination is created automatically when we create an instrument track. In this case, it's Retrolog, but you could reroute it to a different instrument if you so desired. Right now, let's leave it on Retrolog, and I'm just going to play some notes on my MIDI keyboard. So those are some bass notes. They're very low. If we wanted to try some different sounds, we can come here to the browser window on the Object Inspector, and it will call up that same list. So you don't necessarily have to be on the control panel of the instrument to load the sounds. Let's try the Electric Tubist. That's another very quiet sound. Let's try Moth Eaten. So once we have a sound that we like, we can go ahead and record that. But I'm going to mute the piano because the piano was kind of atonal and not really anything that we'd want to use. So I will hit the mute button on that track and then start recording this new track on the Retrolog instrument track. And then we can play that back. If we wanted to edit anything about that instrument, we can click the little Edit Instrument button right here. It looks like that little keyboard, and that will reveal the control panel for that instrument again. And so let's play this back, but adjust the filter amount. Now you may have already noticed that the MIDI track that we had assigned earlier does not have that little icon for Edit Instrument. So how do you get to the instrument on a MIDI track? You can do that a couple of different ways, and if you come over to the inspector, you can see that little icon for Edit Instrument to reveal that control panel, or you can come over to the VSTi tab and find the instrument that you used. Track instruments are on the top of the list, rack instruments are on the bottom, so here's our Halion Sonic. If we wanted to edit it, we'd hit the little Edit Instrument button right here, which looks a little different. It looks like a lowercase e, but the result is the same. It reveals the control panel. So those are instrument tracks. Next, I'll show you sampler tracks.